Hey, it's X-Spoilers time, and I'm X-Spoiler Tim. It's also X-Manhunt Part 107 time. There's a mutiny on the Shi'ar's spaceship. There are these people going after the Empress, who is guarded by Deathbird. She is a Shi'ar mutant who has generic powers like strength, stamina, flight, mean mugging. In the meantime, Grey Malkin is rebuilding after a raid. Captain Ezra mentions a virus is going around, and then they see that Xavier is crying. He's trapped in a gamer chair, so I'm guessing he just lost a game. All these wires look cool, and it looks like there's a tube for his poop and pee. And looking at the size of this straw, he seems like he's into boba tea. The computer thinks the professor is going to have a heart attack on top of the crying, so they try to sedate him. We find out that the Empress is his daughter, crying for help, and his brain is overheating from all that crying and whining. We cut to Rogue's X-team, in which they made a makeshift danger room, in which they're training, and Logan calls the kids blamed gold bricks, which seems out of character. Maybe Gale the writer is trying to imply that since he's lived for centuries, he'd use dated terms like on fleek and slay. I had to ask AI about the phrase blamed gold bricks, and it said whoever said that must have seen it in an old movie or book. While Ransom is being attacked by a hay cube, Jitter climbs like a mountain climber even though she's in the form of zipping around to catch a train. While Death Dream is being attacked by either Jubilee or Sage, I can never tell them apart, so I pretend they're the same person, and it's either Jubilee throwing fireworks at him or Sage throwing exploding e-bike batteries at him, because her power has to do with electronics, I don't know. Gambit casually attacks Jitter and she gets hurt, and I guess the moral of this event is that Rogue is conflicted. While the kids think all of this is fun and games, Rogue wants the kids to be ready for anything to happen, like if Orcus swarms down and does some oppressive IDF style attacks, I don't know. In the meantime, Grey Malkin contacts Rogue because one of the guards who got sick hallucinated his family was a bunch of Daft Punks, and he hates the French techno, especially one made by a dog, and he shoots them. Plus, Xavier convinces Sarah Gaunt to free him. Who is Sarah Gaunt? She's a skinny, ugly lady with sharp claws. I guess she turned to a creature because she lost her child, so Charles appealed to her as a parent so he could save his daughter. And I guess her power is that she has claws and that she can press the release button while having long nails. Remember when I said that chair had a poop tube? Well, so Rogue and the gang get a call that something is wrong, and the team arrived in time before Charles can escape. That is pretty quick, unless Nightcrawler bamfed everybody. I tried to smell the page to see if it smelled like sulfur. It just smelled like dust. So Charles hallucinates that the team is the older version of the team. Wolverine is Beast, Jubilee is Cyclops, Gambit is Angel, Rogue is Jean Grey, and Nightcrawler is Iceman. I realized I think what differentiates Jubilee from Sage is that Jubilee blows bubblegum while Sage just probably smells like sage.
Ohio.
Rogue says Charles has a mutant tumor and he doesn't believe her, so he throws her against a bag of flour. By the way, old people in denial that they need help is very real. If you have an ailing parent or grandparents who do this, you can relate. Cause like my dad's getting worse at driving, he's in his 80s, and I try to tell him, but he telepathically throws me across the room. I'm trying to eat less bread, so I got thrown against a bag of xanthan gum. Oh, so this is a gross thing. Xavier freezes Nightcrawler mid-jump, so his guts are probably hanging out in limbo, freaking everyone out in God's little waiting room. Anyways, Charles escapes. X-Manhunt Part 2 will happen after you like and subscribe and touch the bell. Just kidding, it's going to happen anyway. Part 2. Nyx or NYX, I don't know. Anoli brings Charles to Nyx, and Charles is with some Morlocks. Sobanar, or whatever, the third, is an axolotl man with oceanic blood. That's his power. Also, for some reason, one of the other Morlocks looks like Dale Keown, who is a real-life artist from the 90s. He drew Image's Pit and Marvel's The Hulk, and was pretty popular for it. I think the past few years he became part of that Comicsgate thing, which was an anti-diversity movement, which is funny because in this panel he's wearing a Captain Marvel shirt because Dale is a Captain Marvel stan, and this is Lulo, and she is a fan of salad bars. Prodigy is not a fan of the Professor X though. Xavier has a mission to get a Krakoa seed or something, and Dr. Doom has it in an old X-Men treehouse. Prodigy is still not buying it, but Anoli is, and Miss Marvel, who just wants to get Professor X out of New York, decides to help too. While they're punching the Doombots in a treehouse, Mojo is also there, hanging out with one of Dr. Doom's mutants, Volta. Mojo brought along a kid named Fauna, who saw that Volta took the seed from Krakoa. So Mojo takes the seed via stabbing. The gang notices a killing in the house, which prompts Professor X to do this pose, like maybe he's still getting used to walking. Or I imagine him being in a wheelchair for a good chunk of his life, and then when he gets healed, he's like, oh, I forgot I walk like this. Anyway, Charles does a brain scan or something and realizes Mojo is around, and he takes that as a cue to abandon the kids. Those blamed gold bricks. Anoli is freaking out, and it turns out Charles had a different secret mission all along. The kids have to face Mojo on their own. It seems like Mojo stabbed Anoli to death while Miss Marvel's restrained by him. In the meantime, Charles is disarming the Doombots, and Mojo and Fauna ditched the kids because Miss Marvel got too goopy, but Fauna secretly drops the seed for Enola to get, I think, so the mutants would stop following them. In the meantime, Professor X gets the Cerebro helmet from the ground, and that was his real mission. Enola and Miss Marvel leave the treehouse, while Professor X takes a boat from New York to Atlanta, Georgia? I think this guy needs to download Waze on his helmet. Part 3. Yay, Maggott is here. I like weirdos like the Maggott. I know a lot of people don't like the weird ones like Maggott. I'm a big fan. He has an original mutant power set. He has 2 giant slugs. That is his digestive system, and he turns blue. Generation X was also full of weirdos, and I liked them. I liked when Maggott and Marrow joined the X-Men. Not so much that run though, because I liked it when Marrow was kind of ugly, you know, because like everyone is quote unquote cookie cutter pretty. Why don't they just have some ugly people in there? And I hope she honors her roots and gets ugly again and just becomes a femur horned freak who bashes things with her bone themed battle bat. Anyway, Maggott is African, which is probably why he's hanging out with Storm in her sanctuary in Atlanta. The sanctuary also turns into a UFO, by the way. Xavier's on that ship with a newsboy hat. I guess after docking from the boat, he went the rest of the way on an antique car with a hand-cranked motor. And he has a pitch for Storm. And they go to San Francisco, where the X-Men track them down and appear. Cyclops' argument is that if they want to coexist with humans, they should be held accountable, implying that Professor X should be held accountable, even though Krakoa housed millions of murderers. So anyway, they fight over it. Cyclops is like, Juggernaut, Maggott is all yours, and I'm like, wow, that's gonna be a cool confrontation. Is Juggernaut going to run through Maggott as the unstoppable force that he is? Nope. He's going to do jujitsu, which is what the Sidorak also gifted him with. He was gifted the abilities of a runaway freight train, as well as the unstoppable art of joint locks and controlling an opponent on the ground. Now in a previous issue, Eternity imbued Storm with cosmic power or something, which means her flashlight mouth can overpower Scott's red light eye emitters. Scott becomes sparkly and spiky. I can't tell if he's frozen or electrocuted, and this makes Juggernaut maniacal, so he rips off Maggott's arm, as a Juggernaut is known to do. And so Storm just shoots them out of her UFO, which she just now decided to do. In a previous issue, Storm turns a god into an egg and swallows it, so in this issue, Storm baby birds the god egg into Maggott and tells him to become Omega Maggott, which is amazing, and I feel like it was only done for me. I hope this writer can include Marrow and make her ugly again. While the X-Men hang out at the beach, Psylocke links up with Beast because he's still on the UFO. He found the engine room and he's supposed to blow it up, but he's being visited by Professor X, who also has the Cerebro helmet. Also, the beach the X-Men are on is Utopia, where they used to live. We are left with multiple cliffhangers. There's Utopia. What is Maggott gonna look like as an Omega mutant? What is Professor X going to do with the Beast? And if Professor X got his role in Cats. Okay, normally crossovers are this big event where something is at stake that affects all the mutants, but this one seems to be Professor X doing video game missions while everyone examines his legacy and takes a side. And it sucks that this event gets in the way of the writer-artist teams for their respective books, since half of them are already cancelled, leaving them less room to wind it down. That's another cliffhanger, I guess. Whether or not Professor X is important enough to this new generation of comic book readers that he can boost the sales of their other books. Anyway, let me know if I should continue this channel.